lecithin. Why lecithin? That's fat soluble. Well, lecithin is fat soluble, and that means it goes into your bloodstream and crosses the blood-brain barrier, where the brain and its neurons use lecithin for brain food. So, like sugar works in your muscles to make them be active, lecithin works in the brain cells or the neurons to make them active. And why is that an important thing? Well, number one, all of weight loss starts in your brain, because if you haven't made your mind up, you're not going to follow, you're just going to do what your body says. So your brain needs to function, number one. But number two, you think and feel better when your brain functions better. And there's a reason, I believe, that the first 3 letters of the word diet spell the word die. And you feel like you're dying. But if your brain is being calm with lecithin, and you're crunching your food, you don't have as much appetite, it helps with the process. XoVita, cocoa, acai, and blueberry. And you know exactly these 3 combinations come up to the proprietary blend named XoVita. Xoçai is the only ones that have this. It is the highest antioxidant cocoa available. Scores higher than raspberries and strawberries and all those other antioxidants. Anti-aging antioxidants. Well, when you're catabolizing or eating your own fat, your body needs a lot of antioxidants to neutralize the fats, because fats produce a free radical that needs to be washed out of the body. The antioxidants pick it up and clean it up faster. And I know I need another parenthesis right there, don't I? Anyways, fiber. Fiber's in here because if you eat protein, it ends up like that cookie in your intestine and things slow down a lot. In other words, protein's hard to digest, and it moves slower through the intestines. So if we put fiber in here, you're going to help with blood pressure and your digestive tract, and it's going to move heavier foods through faster. So that's a good reason, and it comes in cocoa fiber. Imagine, they've done all this cocoa bean and made all this wonderful chocolate. Now they found a way to take the coating, the husk of that cocoa, and they made it into a fiber, and now they can put it in here as well. So you've got a fiber that doesn't dissolve. Why do you want a fiber that doesn't dissolve? Because it's like steel wool going through your intestines, cleaning the sides. Is that good enough, or do we need to be more graphic? With that in mind, you're scouring clean the intestines. In addition, you've got this Arabic gum, or this gum that's in there, and that's a soluble fiber that dissolves in water and moves through. So with this you get the gum, the inulin, the guar gum, all these different things are very slippery, viscous fluids. These will give you a moving experience, and this will give you a scouring experience. In addition, you've got all these sweeteners. You've got the maltitol syrup, you've got raisin juice. Imagine, you've got all these natural flavors. I never expected people that would come up to me and say, gosh, I crave raisin juice. But where do raisins come from? Grapes. Okay, well, just a thought. It's not that wild and crazy. So you've got raisin juice, or basically a highly concentrated grape juice flavoring. You've got natural flavors from cinnamon and nutmeg. You've got sucralose and maltitol. Okay, everybody's going to say, how come you've got those in there? They're not sugars that I want. Those are artificial sweeteners. Okay, let's back off and see, what is the purpose of this cookie? Weight loss. And who's going to have this cookie is people who have sugar imbalances, especially diabetics. If I give a diabetic a cookie that's filled with just sugar, they're not going to be able to take it. They won't be able to control their appetite, and they'll get mood swings up and down. But if I give them an artificial sweetener, even though it's not my favorite of all the sweeteners, it's the one that doesn't give you any calories, and it's the one that doesn't raise your glycemic index. So you don't get all the bad things associated with craving food, with having that up and down with the moods. You don't get crashes and highs from sugars. So you go, now wait a minute, aspartame is the really bad flavoring that we don't want, so it's not in here. Aspartame, by the way, at 75 degrees, turns into a methanol, which is an alcohol that can make you go blind. And then a few seconds later, it converts into formaldehyde. So if you want to pickle your brain, you get aspartame. And that's why everybody says artificial sweeteners are so horrible. Well, yeah, that's aspartame. These are newer, better. They're not perfect. But then sugar isn't perfect either. So with that in mind, you've got the best of what we can possibly give you for the purpose in mind. Is that okay? Anybody have an objection there? In fact, if I went through this with you for a week, we'd end up right back here in the same place. You know, we just can't put sugar in there. We just can't put a ton of sugar in there. We've got to give something other than sugar. Well, we do. And you've got raisin juice, and you've got all these other natural sweeteners, and you do have some of these others to make it sweet enough that people want it, will use it, and it doesn't have enough of it to create much of a problem, but it does make it sweet. With that in mind, we've got vitamins, a whole lot of them, A, B, C, D, E, folate, B6, B12. The B's help your mind be calm during the diet. Minerals like selenium, vanadium, calcium, iodine, magnesium, chromium, sodium, potassium. What this means is you've got a full balance of minerals. Minerals transfer energy. Sugar does the fuel for the work the muscles perform, but it is the minerals that transfer energy. Here's an idea. If I were to go into your bloodstream and I was to take one red blood cell out, we call it hemoglobin, and heme means iron. Hematite is iron. So your blood is made up of the mineral iron. Iron grabs a hold of oxygen, takes it through your body, unloads it. If you didn't have the mineral iron in your bloodstream, you couldn't transfer that oxygen, meaning you couldn't transfer energy. Vanadium and selenium are used by the best athletes in the world to transfer strength and energy for the muscles. If you get stronger muscles, you burn more fat. Calcium is essential for muscle contraction, and if you have muscle cramps and you take calcium, the cramps go away, because a deficiency in calcium and magnesium leave you in a cramped muscle situation. Iodine feeds the thyroid. The thyroid is the master hormone gland. It tells all the rest of the body what to do with the balance of hormones. And if you don't think hormones impact weight loss, all you have to do is look at a pregnant woman and wonder, how can she gain 3 pounds a day? It's the hormones that have changed that are building a new body and putting weight on the woman, because you never know, we might need all this extra nutrient for this new body. Hormones regulate that. In fact, the thyroid swells 20 times its own size and function during pregnancy. And after pregnancy, it shrinks to half its original size. And we call that low hormone production and postpartum. Yeah, it's the postpartum syndrome. You're like, how can I be so tired and how can I have so much depression? It's because your thyroid was working 20 times what it was before it was normal. Now it's half the size, then it swings back to normal. Iodine is the mineral responsible for keeping the energy in the thyroid normal. Transfer of energy. So all these minerals matter. Magnesium. If you go to the doctor with a heart attack and you're on the table and they know your heart is working way too hard and it's pumping way too little blood, they'll take a needle that's about as long as that and a syringe on the back of it and stick it right into the heart muscle and inject what? Magnesium. Why? It's the mineral that transfers energy for long endurance. So magnesium is for endurance for your muscles. Chromium balances your blood sugars, and you can see that all these are some of my favorite ingredients. Even if you didn't know a single thing about any ingredient, doesn't this look like a well-balanced meal? That's the whole point. So this lunch is made up of those ingredients, and that's what I would say to you if you brought the label up to me and said, hey, what do you think about this product? I'd look at the ingredients. In addition, I'd look at the nutritional facts and say, gosh, it only has 210 calories. Your daily value of the average person takes at least 2,000 calories. So if I'm eating a shake, I'm only going to be up around 420 calories. Knowing that my final meal of the day, I could eat 1,600 calories and still be normal. Okay, you don't want to eat that many, but you can see how the calories are being reduced. And one of the ways we do that is we don't use sugar, and we do use some of those other things that we talked about earlier. So by lowering calories, you're building less fats. Low fat, no trans fats, those are the bad fats. Low carbohydrates in natural forms of carbohydrates mixed with other forms of carbohydrates. I know the carbohydrate says 26, but realize that 2/3 of those carbohydrates come from things like raisin and cinnamon and fiber. So the others come from the sugars, the maltitol and the sweeteners that I talked about earlier. So you can have a low carbohydrate and at the same time you get low carbohydrate because they're fiber or they're natural or they're from raisins. Sugars, you only have 2 grams of sugars in there, but you got 8 grams of fiber. Fiber moves things along quicker. Sugars at 2 grams is not very much. The carbs come from all natural sources. High protein, high calcium, high flavonoids, high antioxidants. This is a terrific product. It tastes good, and it's going to be lunch for a lot of people. Now, with that in mind, I'm going to move to the aging concept that they want me to talk about. But before I do, 2 or 3 questions on the cookie. Anything you need to ask really quick?
How much protein?
How much protein? Again, do you just pick up the label and you look at it and it says 16 grams. So when you pick up the label and you pull the foil over, on the nutritional facts, the very bottom one says 16 grams. 16 grams of fat, 16 grams of protein. 16 grams of protein is absolutely perfect for a bodybuilder or a weight loss situation. Great question.
Is there soy in it?
Is there soy in it? If it says soy on the label, there's soy in it. There's different forms of soy. Some people are allergic to soy. In the regulations of manufacturing, if a company manufactures with soy, they have to put on the label that this was manufactured in the same building with soy. So, there is soy on the label. There is a soy component. It is such a tiny amount because it's manufactured in a building where soy is built that it may be nothing more than fumes. But for allergic people, if it says soy on the label, they need to make a concerted effort as to whether they want to take it or not. And by the way, a lot of people will just take a little teeny piece and try it and see if it bothers them. People with soy allergies know it as soon as they put it in their mouth. So with that in mind, yes is the answer. Is it minor? Yes. Will it bother anybody? Probably not, but could, and legally it's on there for that reason. Better to err on the side of the honesty than to have a problem and go, oh, whoops, we didn't say that. So one more question. Yes?
Those that are allergic to milk and milk products, it does have the whey protein.
Yes.
Would that affect?
Yeah, great question. She says anyone that's allergic to milk or milk products has maybe a possibility of being allergic to whey protein. Well, here's the issue. Yes is your answer. If there's milk powder in a product and you're allergic to milk, you may be allergic to that. And what is the result? You might get gas or maybe a little diarrhea. But if you don't want that and you're using whey protein isolate, what did we take out? We took all the fats and all the allergens out. So whey protein isolate does not irritate the person who has lactose intolerance. On the other hand, there is a little whey protein concentrate. So, in this case, take a little piece, put it in your mouth, let it go through the process, and you'll know if it's allergic. But most of the people, 9 out of 10, that have a lactose intolerance do not have a problem with this cookie. 1 out of 10 might. So I hope that helps. Again, you just try a little piece and you'll know real quick. Yes?
Okay, along that line, the artificial sweeteners will cause the same type of the diarrhea and the gas and stuff. So how do they differentiate between the sugar alcohol?
She brings up a question. If you take maltitol or xylitol or any of the OL kind of sugars, they could produce gas and they could produce diarrhea or softening of the stool. How do you tell between the milk and the sugars? And the answer is, I don't know. If it does one or the other, and I got to tell you though, if it softens your stool, people pay money for that. It's called X-Lax. That's a benefit to most of the people I've talked to. If it turns you so soft that you become a spray painter, a soft painter. Sorry, that was graphic. Premature.